All right, so for the folks who have been waiting patiently for this FTW video to drop, um, thank you for waiting. Finally had enough time to make it and and have enough info that I feel I can share with you guys and uh, sufficiently explain the differences between the FTW Steeldriver and the regular Steeldriver. The FTW Steeldriver is the full throw weight Steeldriver. So this is the FTW Steeldriver. You can see that the armature bar here is solid. So it has all that mass over top of that hit as opposed to the regular Steeldriver that does not have that weight inside the armature bar. The idea behind this was for people that like to run their machines really on the lower side as far as voltage, you still have that force over the hit to sufficiently run cartridges and have that snap for people that like stipple shading, so you can run it really low. This video is going to run through every one of these machines: the Steeldriver, the SE Bobber Max, which is the SE Bobber with a weighted armature bar, and the FTW Steeldriver. So a lot of you guys have been asking what's the difference between all these machines. Well, I'm going to try and explain. So I've got all these machines set up with a steel cartridge grip and a rib rod. The rib rod is just kind of helps me put the tension of the rubber band where I need it to be, and it stays. So let's start with the regular Steeldriver. Just the regular Steeldriver is built and tuned and sufficient for cartridges. But if you like to run on the lower side, sometimes you're in a situation where if you're running like a stiffer membrane cartridge or something like that, the cartridge pushes back and it creates jacking. So then you're kind of manipulating the rubber band throughout the tattoo, trying to get that to the sound to kind of even out. And I'll kind of show you. So this doesn't have a cartridge in it at the moment, so it's super mellow, super consistent. As soon as you put a cartridge in it, you can hear it's not making contact anymore. So what the rib rod allows me to do is adjust it to where adjust the rubber band to where it's making contact again. I've got a pretty good throw coming out of that tip. I've got a little piece of cardboard, which is good, just audible feedback for you folks watching. What's nice about this machine is it's got a snap at the tip of the stroke. So when you're doing stipple shading or something like that, it's very responsive on the tip of the stroke, and it has great feedback. So it responds to the skin, which means it's going to leave great sharp stipples instead of blurry kind of bigger stipple pattern. And that's what you're getting when you get that snap at the tip of the stroke or that punch at the end. So that is running at 4.8 volts, regular Steeldriver, and you could hear it's running great, but I did have to adjust the rubber band, and depending on what cartridge or what grouping you put in, you're going to have to adjust the rubber band throughout, because every cartridge has a different resistance on that membrane. This is the SE Bobber Max. This is a plug and play machine if you don't like to adjust your rubber band. If you just want to plug your machine in and go and have it do its thing, this is the machine. It'll run great at lower voltage. As you can hear, it doesn't have that impact, so it doesn't have that noise either. It has a great impact. You can feel it, and it has great biofeedback. So where the Steeldrivers have that mechanism that feed back on the skin, where you get that feedback, and it has that bog, this responds to the skin. You can hear it slowing down when I create resistance, but it does run more like a rotary style machine. So I'm just adjusting the depth there, and as you can see, I've still got a rubber I've still got a rib rod on this machine as well, because with any cartridge setup, you can use this rib rod to adjust the rubber band tension to get exactly what you want. Since this machine doesn't end in an impact, and since it still slows down before it comes back, the stipple pattern is going to be different. It's not going to be as sharp. It's not going to be as crisp. It's going to be softer. This is still 4.8 volts. You can hear it. Hits harder. Let's see how low we can get this. So this is 4.2 volts. I could touch it with that. That's still plenty enough power for penetration into the skin. I feel like that might be on the slower side for me if I'm doing stipple shading. I feel like my hand wants to move faster than that, but that gives you an idea of how slow it can go. So let's go to 4.7. So what I'm feeling when I go into this cardboard is I feel like I don't have the snap, I don't have the punch of the Steeldriver, but I also feel like I don't have to adjust anything. I don't have to manipulate anything on this machine for this to do its job. So that's the trade-off you get. You've got a very rotary-like stroke in this machine with great adjustability and speed, and then you've got a great tool to emulate coil and get that impact at the tip, so you get those nice crispy dots. So I'm getting ready to plug the FTW Steeldriver in, and what you're going to notice right away is the sound. You hear that mass over the armature bar and over that hit. Since it has more mass moving on this machine, it's less susceptible to the tensions of the cartridge. And while I've been using this machine for the past week and a half, I love it for shading. It's my go-to shader. I absolutely love it for everything, color packing and whatnot. You can hear, I don't know if you can hear, that's just grazing the skin or grazing the cardboard. And you can hear that pop in there. See how low we can get this. So this is at 4.7 volts. This is 4.3. Stars that pop. I have great feedback on my hand too. I can feel it when it's impacting. We're at 4 volts. I don't know if you can. That is more than enough force to penetrate the skin and tattoo and leave a nice crispy dot. This setup's going to change depending on what your setup is. If you're using a tighter cartridge, something with more tension on it, then it's going to change the setup. But it's going to change how low of the voltage you can go with it. Man, it just feels great. So hopefully that answers some questions. Hopefully that kind of gives you guys an idea of the full scope of all these machines and what they can do and where they shine. I would say, as I've developed the Steeldriver and I've kind of pushed it as far as it could go as like a do-it-all machine, like a do-it-all versatile machine, the more I'm going back to just it wants to be a better shader, it wants to be a better liner. I've pushed it as far as I can take it. I feel like, to make it a versatile do-it-all tool. You know, historically we've always used a different machine for lining, a different machining for shading, because it requires a different stroke type, and you can manipulate a rotary to a certain extent to make it a great all-around machine and just adjust the voltage to get those stroke characteristics you want. But you can only go so far down that road before you start dividing, and it starts to be the absolute best shader. It starts requiring a certain stroke characteristic. To be the absolute best liner, it starts requiring a specific stroke characteristic that takes it away from those other characteristics to make it a good shader. So I feel like I'm going down the road with this machine where lately I've been setting up a steel driver, a standard steel driver for needle tube lining, and setting up a FTW steel driver with a cartridge setup for shading, and it is checking all the boxes and making me thrilled with everything I do with it, and really just making me happy with how the tools function and everything else. So hopefully that helps. Hopefully that answers some questions, and thanks for watching.